Christmas season is underway and we have another winter themed Tempest Trials event. Tempest Trials Plus for a smile offers a bunch of neat rewards, so let's talk about what you can earn. For hitting the maximum 50,000 points, you can get up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. The blessing this time is an astral blessing to go along with Mythic Altina from last month. For sacred seals, we have Warding Blow, Steady Posture, and Distant Guard. Our reward unit this time is one to Jaffar, and you can get 2 copies, one at 4 stars and one at 5 stars. We'll now take a closer look at our new sacred seals and Winter Jaffar as a unit. Our first seal is Warding Blow. If unit initiates combat, grants +6 res during combat. Not exactly a common skill, Warding Blow and Armored Blow are usually pushed aside for extra attacker speed since your player phase units tend to be more offensive oriented. I do think they can be better off as sacred seals since they can complement your chosen A skill if you want extra protection. For instance, Warding Blow can be used with Mirror Impact and a unit will get +16 res while initiating, which is a substantial amount. You can also use it with Sturdy Impact instead for a more balanced +10 defense and +6 res spread. I wouldn't say Warding Blow is a bad seal, but it's more specialized and definitely isn't high on the upgrade priority list. If you really want to survive initiations, then it's not a bad skill. Our second seal is Steady Posture. If foe initiates combat, grants +4 speed and defense during combat. Don't get confused, posture is just another name for stance because whoever does the naming for these things just hates consistency. Steady Posture is a dual stance seal and it's the defensive version of Swift Stance, which we also got as a seal recently. Dual stances are pretty nice, and if you don't want only +6 speed from darting stance, you can tack on some extra defense or res. While not the best defensive seal for pure tanking, having the extra speed can be nice on faster enemy phase units, and it's not a bad perk if you aren't running quick riposte. If you want to get Steady Posture in an A slot, it's rather easy since both Raisin and Thea both got demoted to the 4 to 5 star pool. Both of them have Steady Posture at max rank at 4 star rarity. You can double up for +8 speed and defense, and as we saw on the previous banner, the dual stance A skills are getting more powerful versions which have guard built in, so a Steady Posture 3 is possible. Lots of stats from combining these skills in both slots. Last up, we have Distant Guard 3. Allies within 2 spaces gain if foe uses bow, dagger, magic, or staff, grants defense and res +4 during combat. A new type of skill appears as a sacred seal. Distant Guard is a supportive skill that buffs up allies and it grants an effect similar to Distant Defense, but it works in the player phase too, so it's not bad at all. For example, a tank with Distant Defense buffed up by Distant Guard from an ally will end up with +10 defense and res against ranged enemies. Speaking of stacking, we can triple stack Distant Guard effects for a crazy support build. From the Year 3 Dancer banner, we got inheritable weapons with Distant Guard built in. If you have Dancer Renea or Nephany, give them Distant Guard as a C skill and use it as a Sacred Seal too, and you can have 3 Distant Guard effects. This would grant all allies within 2 spaces +12 defensive res when fighting ranged foes. Pretty crazy setup for modes like Aether Raids if you have a super tank, and everyone can get Dancer Renea since she is a reward unit. To get Distant Guard as a C skill, you can sacrifice Kronia, who is another reward unit, so technically everyone has access to this crazy combo. Distant and Close Guard have been out for a while but are still not easy to get, so having them as seals is a nice option. Distant Guard will be excellent to upgrade if you can buff up an ally using Distant Defense.
Being festive does not come easily to me, but as long as Nino is happy, I can't complain.
For our reward unit, we have Winter Jaffar. The Angel of Death is accompanying Nino to the Winter Festival and he looks absolutely amazing. With his Santa robes, this time Jaffar is an armored unit. He is still a dagger unit but is a green dagger this time, so everyone can get themselves a pretty unique unit type. His stats include 44 HP, 35 attack, 37 speed, 31 defense, and 27 resistance. Really big improvement for Jaffar is that he actually has a good attack stat. Combined with 37 speed, Jaffar is ready to dish out some damage, and that's a really good offensive spread, although he's only got that 1 movement. With his great offensive stats, Jaffar does sacrifice some defensive bulk for an army unit, but overall he can definitely still take some hits. It's not insane, but with his high speed, if he can avoid some doubles, then that just makes Jaffar harder to kill. Very nice stat line, and it's pretty unique for an Armored Dagger, which tend to be much slower units. For his weapon, Jaffar brought the Minty Cane Plus. It's a 14 might inheritable dagger, and when the user makes an attack during combat, they will heal 5 HP. The wording on this effect is a little dumb. Basically, instead of dealing damage, it's just any time Jaffar hits someone, he'll get that little bit of healing. This weapon is the same as Foresight's Soul Lance, just with a weaker healing ability. Since Minty Kain is a dagger, it will apply its -7 defense and res debuff on the target and all foes within 2 spaces. Now, this isn't the craziest weapon ever, but that's pretty expected as an inheritable seasonal weapon. It is a neat effect since it grants healing during combat, and if you can make 2 attacks, then that's 10 HP per fight. Not bad at all. Jaffar may not have the highest defenses, but with every throw of his cane, he's going to be able to regain some of that lost HP. For the rest of Winter Jaffar's kit, he comes with Reciprocal Aid. This allows him to swap HP with an ally, and I guess since he has a healing weapon, you can heal an ally, then get health back with Minty Kain. For his A skill, Jaffar has defense and res bond, so if Jaffar is adjacent to any ally, he'll get +5 defense and res. That helps out his lower defense and res stats, and if Jaffar sticks with his team, he just becomes tankier. Rounding out his kit, Jaffar has gold armor, which grants all armor allies within 2 spaces, +4 attack and speed during combat. Nothing much to say here, the whole winter banner is full of armor units, so obviously Jaffar will work fine with them. Overall, not the best nor worst base kit. Minty Kain is pretty fun for defensive builds, and to go along with that, you at least have defense and res bond too. There isn't anything supporting his high attack and speed, but that's alright. Jaffar will be perfectly fine with some skill inheritance. If you want to use Winter Jaffar but aren't looking to go all in, then consider a +1 merge. The normal merge bonus will be +1 HP and attack, while the neutral nature will add another +1 HP, attack and speed. Pretty nice bonuses. This brings Jaffar up to 46 HP, 37 attack, and 38 speed. Very good looking attack and speed spread. Being a green Armored Dagger unit, Winter Jaffar is already unique. There is only one other green Armored Dagger, and that's Halloween Kagero. We only have 4 total green daggers in the game, and that includes Hot Springs Hinaka, a flying dagger unit, and Dancer Lencia, who is a dancer. Kagero is Jaffar's only real competition, and both are quite different. Kagero has high attack but low speed. She is definitely a scary bold fighter armor unit, but with her lower speed, units like Jaffar are going to be able to run other type of builds, and it's not like his defense and res are that much worse. With such high speed, Jaffar will be great with Special Fighter, which is a powerful fighter skill itself, and just in general, having high speed is nice for both offense and defense. If you really want to invest into him, then he will have an insane amount of build options available. Now, one comparison that should be made is with Winter Cecilia from last year. She is also an Armored Dagger unit, but is a colorless dagger instead, and for many, this is a big deal. Cecilia won't have any advantageous matchups, but she also won't be at a disadvantage either unless it's a Raven Tone. She is also a slow Armored Dagger unit like Kagero, and her high 36 base res is very nice, especially since her goodie boot is also boosts her defense and res too. Cecilia is a great unit herself, and being free, she's also obtained with Heroic Grails. For those looking to +10 an Armored Dagger unit, the main difference will probably come down to the colorless versus green color matchup. Cecilia will make a better all-around tank, especially for magical damage threats, but Jaffar gets to use the weapon triangle to his advantage. For defense teams, colorless is probably a safer bet to fight off any threat, but in the hands of the player, Jaffar being green isn't as much of an issue since most likely you'll be covering his weakness to red units anyway. Regardless of how you feel on the colorless versus colored debate, both of these Armored Dagger units can be great, and a large part of that is thanks to the ridiculously overpowered Fighter B skills. Moving on to builds, let's discuss some basic skills first. If you stick with Winter Jaffar's base kit, then it is set up to run Quick Riposte very well. He is a very fast unit already, but even fast units can run Quick Riposte, and it just works well with the Minty Kain anyway. The main idea is that Jaffar is going to be your ranged tank. He takes hits and retaliates with Minty Kain, which heals him up with 5 HP. This helps keep Quick Riposte up, and should he attack twice, that's 10 HP a fight. Specials can be anything you want. Damage specials like Bonfire, Moonbow, or Luna are fine, and you can even run healing specials, although I don't think they are necessary. To help Jaffar out, if you are depending on defense and res bond, you can use the Sacred Seal version as well for +10 defense and res, or you can opt for the other bonds or stance skills or distant defense depending on what stance you want. If you can buff up Jaffar's speed, then you might not need Quick Riposte, and you can instead just run Renewal for healing or use something like a Link buff if you intend to just stick with the team. In an Armor Emblem team, obviously gold armor is going to be good, but for max defensive support, you can swap to Ward armor and combine it with our new Distant Guard seal. Fortifier armor is also available. Now, if you intend to invest heavily into Jaffar, then the obvious choice has to be a Fighter B skill. Swap Quick Riposte out for Vengeful Fighter, and that with the Minty Kain and Aether is a nasty sustained build. If you want to go with Bold Fighter, then you might want a more offensive dagger like the Barb Shuriken, or Jaffar being a dagger unit does have access to the Starfish Dagger, which has Desperation built in. If Bold Fighter on a high speed armor seems like a waste to you, then as mentioned before, Special Fighter is a top tier option, more cooldown reduction, and you inflict guard on the enemy. Maybe you can run away close counter for some fun shenanigans. Just for the sake of discussion, let's talk about the new Daring Fighter skill from Winter Dual Marth, or Dual Winter Marth, whatever you want to call him. Daring Fighter is basically at its core a better desperation skill. However, it also disables enemy skills that stop follow-up attacks, which means if the user doubles, then desperation is not going to be stopped. Primarily, this is best paired with insanely high speed, and since it's basically desperation, we'll just slap in our Fury plus desperation plus brazen attack and speed combo. Jaffar can go with the Barbed Shuriken, or if you have it, the Pumpkin and Box Dagger from Halloween Dozla is a Fury dagger, so Jaffar can run double Fury. If you do intend to lean for a more offensive setup, then the Barbed Shuriken and its accelerated special effect is probably the easiest to get dagger. However, if you can afford it, dagger units have some very interesting seasonal daggers to choose from. Combine those unique weapon effects with the stupidness of the armor only fighter skills, and well, you can create some terrifying units. Overall, this is a very nice Tempest Trials, very solid set of Sacred Seals. The weakest seal is probably Warding Blow. I will probably upgrade Steady Posture and Distant Guard myself, and Distant Guard makes me want to use Renea in my rotation of dancers to get that stacking effect going. As for our reward unit, Winter Jaffar is pretty great too. He is a fast ranged armor unit which makes him very unique, and while his base kit is more defensive in nature, he can dish out good damage if you equip him with a more offensive setup. Thanks to the Fighter B skills, Jaffar can easily be a strong unit, and you can pretty much run all of them depending on what you want. Compared to Winter Cecilia from the year before, he makes a good contrast with her. One is very slow and one is very fast, but they both can be good units. Being a green dagger unit is gonna lower some people's opinions on Jaffar, which is understandable, but to me it's not like it suddenly makes him useless or anything. Having the weapon triangle is a blessing and a curse, and hey, you never know if the Raven Tome effect starts to spread to even more units like on Nagi for example. I think Jaffar is pretty neat, and while I don't expect to see him all over the place, I'm sure you're gonna see people plus 10 him, just like with Winter Cecilia. That's it for this video. Lots and lots of holiday banners are here and even more on the way, so go get those orbs. I'm back from my trip, and next I want to talk about the newest banners I missed. Just give my thoughts on them real quick and discuss what else to watch out for if you are summoning for this season. Let me know your thoughts on this Tempest Trials event, including our newest Sacred Seals, plus Winter Jaffar, and I'll see you guys in the next video.